I'm back, and we're ready to try using a OFX plugin for a color space transform. I'm back to an untitled project, and so far I've simply imported the Alexa shot once again. Right now there's no LUT applied to it. If I go back to the project settings, we can see we still have a display referred system with a Rec 709 timeline. An OFX plugin in particular is good for matching footage from different cameras. So let's give that a try. Let's bring in a different clip shot with a different camera. Back to the footage folder, there's a Red One Mysterium shot. We'll go ahead and import that. Now, aside from using different cameras, these are using a different format. The Alexa shot has ProRes compression. However, the Red One Mysterium shot is a RAW shot. It's in the RAW format, which means the camera sensor data is used without any additional processing or gamma correction. Now, if you do have a RAW shot, you have to think about how the program is interpreting it. Resolve automatically recognizes RAW shots and tries to interpret them correctly. You can see how it does that if you go to the project settings. There's a camera RAW section. And under the RAW profile, you'll see a number of major cameras. I can switch to the red section and see how the red footage is being read. By default, the decode using for these various cameras is set to camera metadata. But in this case, we can get a better result if we switch this from camera metadata to project. Project opens up the parameters a little bit lower, which you can change to make the interpretation more accurate. In this case, we want to change the color space and gamma curve to match the new red IPP2 protocol. And that protocol is designed to match all currently existing red cameras and has an extra wide gamut color space. So I want to change color space to red wide gamut RGB. Now I'll change gamma curve to log 3G10. So if you see this combination, red wide gamut RGB and log 3G10, that's IPP2. I'll go ahead and save. You'll see it becomes washed out, so we see the more appropriate logarithmic space. So both shots look similar. Now they're still in different camera color spaces. We have a red color space and an Alexa color space. You can use the OFX plugin to convert the red color space to the Alexa color space, and do this before we grade so we can have a consistent grading. Let's give it a try. We can do this in the color tab. But first I want to make a timeline. Make sure we have both clips in the timeline. And go to the color tab. So with the red clip selected, I can apply a OFX plugin to this default node. You can see over here at the right there is an OpenFX or OFX section for these plugins. And OpenFX is an open source system of writing plugins for various programs. Resolve comes with a number of OFX plugins, and these come in various categories. All have the Resolve Effects prefix. We want the color space transform in the color section. To apply one of these, simply click, drag it, and drop it onto a node. When it's applied, you see the little effect symbol, and you'll see the parameters at the right. In order to make this color space transform work, we have to have the correct input and output color space and gamma. So for the input, we want to match to the red footage. We know we're using the IPP2 protocol because we set the camera RAW, so we'll set it the same here, which is red wide gamut RGB and red log 3G10. Now for output color space, we want to match the Alexa camera. So area Alexa and area log C. Now the color space transform takes the red footage and converts it to the Alexa color space. We can go ahead and grade these and then also apply 3D LUT for the final output. So you can create multiple nodes to apply the grading and the LUT. So for the red clip, I want to create two nodes. And a grade node in this case is the serial node. You can create them up here if you go to Color, Nodes, Add Serial Node. You can also press Alt-S. I'm going to add 2 to the red clip, and for the Alexa clip, just 1. I'll start here. On the first node, which has nothing on it right now, I'll go ahead and add a little bit of grading. Now, in order to see the final output, on the second node, I'll go ahead and apply a 3D LUT. Let's say we want to go to Rec 709, so I can use the Arri Alexa log C to Rec 709. Then go back to the grading and adjust it to make it look good with that final output. I'll go back to the red shot. The first node has the color space transform, so on the second node, I'll apply the grading. And then on the third node, go ahead and add that Rec 709 LUT. You can see what each node is doing. There's little symbols for the plugin, for the grading, and for LUT. While I'm on the red clip, let's take a look at the color space transform one more time. So it's currently working, but there are two options you can consider: tone mapping and gamma mapping. Now, if you do use these two options, then the color space transform becomes destructive. In other words, clipping occurs. If you don't use these two, then just the color space transform is non-destructive. So you don't lose any values or don't lose part of your value range. However, tone mapping and gamma mapping might be useful if you're going to a particular output that has a limited saturation and/or luminance range. You can change tone mapping to luminance mapping and then check on use custom max output and limit the max output. The units are measured in NITs or nits. That's a measurement for luminance, but you can enter a value appropriate for your monitor. It could be higher, it could be lower. You'll see the output change in brightness as you change that max output. You can also activate gamma mapping if you want to control the saturation. Maybe you want to max out the saturation, or choose a lower saturation if your monitor or projector cannot handle that. So again, these two options are destructive. If you don't use them, non-destructive color transform. So there's how you use the OFX plugin to match footage from two different cameras. If you'd like to take a look at this project, it's saved out as Red OFX. We're now ready for the next topic, and that's how display referred works when using the Fusion tab. And we'll do that in the next video.